Century eggs, also known as preserved eggs, 100-year eggs, 1000-year eggs, millennium eggs, skin eggs, and black eggs, are a Chinese preserved egg product made by processing duck, chicken, or quail eggs in a mixture of clay, ash, salt, quicklime, and rice hulls for from several weeks to several months, depending on the method of processing. Through the process, the yolk becomes a dark green to grey colour with a creamy consistency and strong flavour due to the hydrogen sulfide and ammonia present, while the white becomes a dark brown, translucent jelly with a salty flavour. The transforming agent in a century egg is an alkaline salt, which gradually raises the pH of the egg to around 9 to 12 during the curing process. This chemical process breaks down some of the complex flavourless proteins and fats, which produces a variety of smaller flavourful compounds. Some eggs have patterns near the surface of the egg white, which are likened to pine branches. These patterned eggs are regarded as having better quality than normal century eggs, and are called Songhua eggs. The method for creating century eggs likely came about through the need to preserve eggs in times of plenty by coating them in alkaline clay, which is similar to methods of egg preservation in some Western cultures. The century egg has at least 4 centuries of history behind its production. Its discovery was said to have occurred around 600 years ago, when a homeowner discovered duck eggs in a shallow pool of slaked lime that was used for mortar during construction of his home. Upon tasting the eggs, he set out to produce more, this time with the addition of salt to improve their flavour, resulting in the present recipe for the century egg. An alternative story involves a young duck farmer leaving eggs in the garden of a woman as a courting gesture. The eggs were not discovered until 2 weeks later, when the woman was cleaning out the ash pit where they had been left. The eggs had turned into what we now know as century eggs. The traditional method for producing century eggs has improved since the initial primitive clay process. Instead of using just clay, a mixture of wood ash, calcium oxide, and salt is included in the plastering mixture, thereby increasing its pH and sodium content. The addition of calcium oxide and wood ash to the mixture lowers the risk of spoilage and also increases the speed of the process. A recipe for creating century eggs starts with the infusion of tea in boiling water. To the tea, calcium oxide, sea salt, and ash from burned oak is mixed into a smooth paste. Each egg is individually covered by hand. It is then rolled in a mass of rice chaff to keep the eggs from adhering to one another. The mud slowly dries and hardens into a crust over several months. The eggs are then ready for consumption. Even though the traditional method is widely practiced, modern understanding of the chemistry behind the formation of century eggs has led to many simplifications in the recipe. Today, soaking raw eggs in a solution of table salt, calcium hydroxide, and sodium carbonate for 10 days, followed by several weeks of aging while wrapped in plastic, is said to achieve the same effect as the traditional method. This is because the chemical reaction needed to produce century eggs is accomplished by introducing hydroxide and sodium ions into the egg, regardless of the method used. Century eggs can be eaten without further preparation other than peeling and rinsing them, on their own or as a side dish. As an hors d'oeuvre, the Cantonese wrap chunks of this egg with slices of pickled ginger root. A Shanghainese recipe mixes chopped century eggs with chilled tofu. In Taiwan, it is popular to eat sliced century eggs placed on top of cold tofu with katsuobushi, soy sauce, and sesame oil. The century eggs may also be cut into chunks and stir-fried with vegetables, which is most commonly found in Taiwanese cuisine. Some Chinese households cut them up into small chunks and cook them with rice porridge to create century egg and lean pork congee. Century eggs are sometimes avoided due to the belief that they are prepared by soaking eggs in horse urine, but there is no good evidence to support this, and furthermore, urine is generally not alkaline. The misconception is because, in Thai and Lao, the common word for century egg translates to horse urine egg, due to the distinctive urine-like odor of the food. It is also possible that century eggs are being confused for virgin boy eggs, which are actually prepared in urine, though not horse urine. Heavy metals have been used to speed up the process and turn more profit in less time. It was an unscrupulous practice in some small factories, but it became rampant in China and forced many honest manufacturers to label their boxes lead-free after the scandal went mainstream in 2013. 30 factories in Nanchang County were found to be using industrial-quality copper sulfate, which was contaminated with arsenic, lead, cadmium, and other heavy metals and toxic chemicals to make the eggs more translucent, less odorful, provide smoother texture, and encourage faster curing. The Chinese government has, over the years, been trying to regulate food additives and license law-abiding establishments to combat the food safety incidents in China posed by bad manufacturing practice.